This is Talking Football with Two Ball Guys. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
Tony, I know we've gone into fight songs a little bit. That was the Oregon fight song. They're getting ready here in a little bit to take on Ohio State in what looks like the best playoff game this round.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they already played once this year, and Will Howard did his best to help Oregon win that game. No, I'm just kidding. Oregon has to be. They're not even favored in that game. You know that?
Yeah, I know.
Ohio State is favored, which is kind of
crazy. We've talked about that a little bit in our last pod. We're going to get into a little bit more and some other stuff. But first, we are talking football. Two Bald Guys. I am part of Elevation 5280 Sports. That's e5280sports.com. Like I said many times, check our pod out there, but also check out all the other pods that are on that site. A lot of good stuff.
Good stuff out there.
And then we partnership with Happy Nuts. I know it's a little past Christmas now, but there's never a bad time to get stuff for your man parts
Absolutely
and feel good. I am heading out on a cruise, and I'm taking some of that chafing stuff with me, walking around, stuff like that. Definitely good stuff to take.
Oh, the chafing roll-on stick thing, fantastic. I use it almost every day I go walking. My uncle actually texts me because my mom ended up getting her brother some happiness.
Nice.
So he texted me this stuff and all that. He goes, I heard you guys talk about it. He goes, and I didn't know anything about it. So he got some spray and all that good stuff. So he's excited about that.
All right, go there, use our code, get 20% off, all that good stuff. All right, Tony, we talked last pod and we made some of our picks, and we really argued if the teams are deserving. And then I came across this quote from Troy Aikman.
Okay.
I think the disappointment, this is quoting, I think the disappointment is for those that want to question whether these teams belong in the playoff. I think that to make those comments are the fact, and after they had devastating losses, I don't know that that's fair to anybody. We see teams in the Super Bowl that lose by large margins, and they were worthy.
Yeah, I mean, if you can go back to the Denver Broncos used to make it quite often in 80s and 90s and get blown out by the Cowboys at the time, and the Niners teams that were obviously the Cowboys and Niners are probably the two best teams, but they're in the same conference. So I see his point he's trying to make, that before the games were played, they were, nobody said a word. Then they get blown out, and now it's all of a sudden a problem, or a problem that may or may not need correcting. I don't know. Is it a problem?
You talk about some of these games, like the Bears beat the Packers. I mean, not the Packers, the Patriots, like 42-10. The Raiders beat the Redskins when they were the Redskins back in '84, 38-9.
Yep.
The Bears is 46-10 against the Patriots. The Redskins beat the Broncos 42-20. The 49ers beat the Broncos 55-10.
Right. The Broncos always got blown out.
The Cowboys beat the Bills 52-17. So those are some of the best Bills teams we saw. The Cowboys were just a juggernaut. The Niners beat the Chargers 49-26 in a game that wasn't that close. The Ravens beat the Giants 34-7. Bucks beat the Raiders 48-21.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a long list of these games that are just blowouts in the Super Bowl. The Seahawks over the Broncos 43-8, and they had Peyton Manning on the team.
Correct.
I mean, so it's easy. I think the biggest thing he was saying is easy after the fact to say these teams didn't belong because they got blown out. But like you brought up a great point in those Super Bowl. I mean, I'm going to tie it back to these, but in those Super Bowls, were those teams bad or were the other teams just that good?
Right.
And you brought up a point. We're taking away the credit for Penn State and Notre Dame and who's the other one that blew up? Texas beat Clemson.
But that wasn't really. There's 11 minutes left in the game. It's
Ohio State, Penn State,
up.
And Notre Dame. Maybe they were just better. Just that much better. And they would have been that much better than everybody else that should have made the playoffs. I'm not saying in the next round. I'm saying that should have made the playoffs.
Well, and I think if I'm James Franklin or if I'm Freeman or these guys, like, where's our credit for actually being a really good football team? Nobody's talking about that. It's almost like Notre Dame's not that good, and, they blew out Indiana, which means Indiana's so bad. No, Notre Dame might be a pretty darn good football team. We know Ohio State's a good football team. I mean, we know these are good football teams. That's why they're in there. They just they were just so much better than the competition.
And Penn State's 2 losses were by 7 to both Oregon and Ohio State.
Two of the top teams in the freaking country.
So, I mean, you look at that and you're right. Like, I don't know how many people I saw the SEC homers, whatever. They're like, well, we would beat Notre Dame right now. You don't know that.
You have no idea.
Now, maybe Indiana wasn't as good, but the thing is they took care of business. We've talked about this. Yeah. But Notre Dame just throttled them. Penn State throttled SMU. Correct. They took advantage of SMU mistakes.
Correct.
I mean, you really look at the first half of the SMU game. I know you weren't watching it. You were at a party. SMU really played with them. The quarterback kept throwing it to Penn State. Right. If they don't make those turnovers, they're in that game.
And you can say that's SMU not playing well, or let's give a little credit to Penn State for playing good defense.
Yeah, their defense is okay.
Their defense is pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And I think we're going to see that Penn State is going to make a little run here. I think they kind of have shown that they can compete with the big boys.
Right, and they're going to go play Georgia. We talked about this, and now you just read that Carson Beck is out now for the year. He is ruled out. They ruled him out of the game against Notre Dame, and then they said it was very questionable the rest of the way. I don't think they get past Notre Dame. I don't know if they would have got past Notre Dame with Carson Beck.
So people are saying that there's a conspiracy out there that Georgia knew that he wasn't going to play, but they put it out there that he possibly could play because they didn't want to see an FSU thing happen. But they can't because they won the SEC, so it wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't matter.
I don't know it's the internet trolls out there that are just going.
The only thing I could think of is if they were trying to make sure they stayed in the 2 spot.
Well, and that's also been brought up.
Which, yes, I mean, if it would have been the 4-team playoff and Georgia got in after winning the SEC, but their quarterback is hurt, Florida State would have an argument. Florida State would have a very valid argument. It would never happen because they're in the SEC and it's Georgia.
Right.
But they would have a very valid argument.
Your quarterback's hurt. Why are you guys getting in?
Right.
Because Florida State couldn't do it last year. So.
Exactly. So I just think it's easy to go back. And then we talked about it. It's just very, very easy to go back and be like, well, they got blown out. They didn't deserve to be there. Well, who knows if Alabama – who says Alabama wouldn't have got blown out?
They got blown out by Oklahoma.
Right.
Blown out 24-3. You scored 3 points.
And the bigger thing is that they not only got blown out by Oklahoma, they scored 3 points.
Only 3 points.
3 points against an Oklahoma defense who's okay,
pretty
but
good.
Not great.
Right. You don't think Notre Dame's defense could do the same? Or Texas or Ohio State? Like they would. The Bama fans are losing their minds right now, but I still go back. You're not even the next team in.
Right.
Miami would be the next team in.
I mean, let's just.
You're not the next team in, Bama.
Oklahoma gave up 25 points to Tennessee, who was an okay offense, but I don't think anybody thought Tennessee's offense was great. Oklahoma gave up 21 to Auburn, 34 to Texas, 35 to South Carolina, 26 to Ole Miss. Hell, they gave up 14 to Maine.
Right.
And 30 to Missouri and 37 to LSU, and they gave up 3 to Alabama.
Correct. So, Bama fans, stop it.
It's not like
you're not in. You're not the next team.
If Oklahoma was averaging giving up like 15, 20 or less points, and then you only scored 3, okay, maybe this defense is really, really good. Right. And Oklahoma's defense wasn't horrible.
No, they were good defense.
But it wasn't like this team that should have shut this Bama monster down to 3 points.
Right. The Bama team that scored, 30-some on Georgia?
I'm telling you right now, Bama should be happy that Michigan's not playing like half their defense. Because if Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham are still in there, I mean, they blew them up last year.
Right. Yeah, Grant's declaring for the NFL.
He declared Mason
He's going to sit out.
Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. I'm pretty much sure they're going to sit out.
You know what, though? But you kind of get to see maybe who's coming back for next year. Yeah. And I think that's part of the bowl season. Like Jackson Arnold for Oklahoma, he's transferring out. So, you get to see the Oklahoma backups or whatever play. Like, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's, you just look at that and you're just like, you just win your games. You got to win your games. I'm just going to go back to you got to win your games. Now, should we adjust the way they do it? The biggest thing I think, and we talked about this, I think the easiest thing, we've talked about this numerous times, the easiest thing to do that you could change like for next year and be still fair is not reseed, but like do what the NFL does. We've talked about this. So right now,
Oregon doesn't have to play Ohio State.
Correct. The lowest ranked team left plays Oregon, which it could have been Ohio State in this case because they might have been the lowest one, but it might not have been Ohio State had Clemson beat Texas or SMU beat Penn State. I think that's an easy fix.
You could also do the Power 4 schools, get the 4 buys.
Right. We've talked about that too.
Is that fair to the, it's because the rankings are so kind of, there's so much weight on the rankings.
Biased.
But they're biased, right. So I don't know. I don't know how you do it without the rankings becoming a factor.
I mean, if you're trying to keep your head out of the SEC, the Big Ten, and all that stuff, like I didn't want Bama in because, well, I just don't like the SEC and the Bama. I'm tired of them. But if you have just all is fair up there, and you have Bama versus Indiana, and it is truly fair, like everything's exactly the same, you're probably going to pick Bama every time. I mean, and that is a little biased. Because of their name.
Recent history.
It is because of their name and the recent history. Yep. You're going to do that. 100%. And the same thing too is like when you see all these teams get blown out, like Notre Dame get blown out. I think Notre Dame did get the fair shake some of the times because they kept getting blown out in the playoffs, and people were like, they're going to get blown out again if they make it. So then if it's all the same between Notre Dame and let's say Georgia's going to make it.
And the rankings come into play because that's where you're getting your strength of schedule from.
Right.
Because Bama or whoever beats a ranked team when it's the second week of the season. And they were ranked 10th at that time, but now they're 25th. Like but at the time they played, they were ranked higher. That's the argument for strength of schedule. I don't know. I don't know if there's an
and
easy
in
way to do
rankings,
it.
I mean, we talk about like even the coaches poll doesn't matter as much, but
Not
some people are
anymore.
still going to do that. It's not even the coaches that are doing it. Most of the time, it's the SIDs or the assistant coaches,
Right,
something
exactly.
like that do it. They just
You think Nick Saban's out there ranking teams when he was coaching?
and you're telling me that the AP poll and the coaches poll can look almost identical almost every single week. I mean, they're not quite, but we went through that
Pretty
one week
darn
and it was pretty darn
close.
close. It is almost exactly no. It like if I'm a coach, there's no way. Like you and I, we have a pretty good finger on college football.
Right.
We wouldn't put guys the same. We'd be close. But I tell you, outside of the top 5, it'd
It'd
vary
be
a lot.
It'd be different. Yeah, it would be for sure. Like you said, the top 5 or 8 maybe would be pretty close. Maybe a couple teams mixed here and there, but past 8 to 25, it'd be all over the place.
Did you just roll like you're telling me that you have for sure that the 20 through 25 teams are going to be the exact same, and they're almost always the same.
No,
it can't. But and the thing is, I think strength of schedule, and you've asked me this a lot of times, the strength of schedule matters. I think strength of schedule matters when, right, it goes off of rankings a little bit.
Right.
But if you want to go with strength of schedule and you want to say the SEC is this great conference, okay, cool. But be close. Be close to the same. The teams that Alabama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss are trying to argue with is Indiana, who has 1 loss, you have 3 losses. You can't just say 2 losses make a difference. Now, if one of them's 2, one of them's 1, and Indiana didn't make the Big Ten championship game, I can understand your argument a little bit more. You have 2 other losses, but then at the same time, your 2 losses, like we talked about, for Bama was Oklahoma and Vandy. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky,
right?
And South Carolina had, I think, like their losses are okay.
So,
but they also lost to Bama and Ole Miss, so you can't get ahead of them. Indiana lost to Ohio State. Period.
Right.
Period.
I mean, let's throw Miami in there instead of Indiana now.
Right.
You got 2 losses versus 3 losses, but the argument that the SEC fans are making is that the losses, they're not going off the losses, they're looking at wins.
Okay.
Too. So they're saying Bama has more quality ranked wins than Miami.
Bama beat Georgia.
That's a quality.
And they did beat Ole Miss.
So that's what they're going off. At the time they played them, they were ranked high and they beat them. So those are better wins. And I still go back.
Okay.
You have 3 losses.
Okay. At the time they played, Georgia Tech beat Florida State, who was ranked 5th.
Facts.
Very start of the year.
Right. So
we found out Florida State was not good.
Correct.
But when they beat them, it was 5th. Yeah. So, like, if a team drops out and doesn't look as good, you can't be like, oh, we have a ranked win.
That's their argument.
Then Georgia Tech has a ranked win.
Versus Florida State.
Correct.
And then they beat Miami.
They beat Miami.
So I don't know how you would do it, but that's the SEC argument.
Their
wins are better than Miami.
And then the other one is like, okay, well, SMU had 2 losses and we had 3 losses. We should be in front of SMU. The reason SMU has 2 losses is because they made it to a conference championship game. You can't penalize a team that has that few losses. Now, let's say SMU is close, but they had 4 losses, and if they win, same thing with Clemson.
Maybe.
Like, if Clemson loses, they're out. They're out. But if they would have lost to SMU in the championship, they're out.
Because that's 4 losses.
But they're getting help by playing in that game, not getting penalized. SMU really wasn't getting any help outside of maybe getting a top 4 seed. Well, that's it.
It's because SMU was already ranked, I think, in the top 10
at the time.
Clemson was already 15th or 16th or whatever, so they had to win that to be in.
Clemson going to the ACC championship game helped them. SMU didn't.
Correct.
Well, except for seeding. But really, you got to look at SMU and be like, we lose that game, you're really punishing us for playing that.
If you're Miami right now, all you had to do was beat Syracuse, and you're in the playoff.
Correct.
You didn't,
because they were going to the ACC championship
game. So, Bama fan, why are we not looking at Miami and going, oh, they should be in? Well, they lost to Syracuse last game of the year. Right. You should have beat Vandy. Just beat Vandy or Oklahoma, and you're in, Bama fan. Don't complain.
You lost to 2 6-6 teams. Miami got knocked out by who I think Syracuse, who are 9-3.
9-3, 8-4. Either way, they're better. They're better rank wise.
Yes.
And their quarterback played at Ohio State.
and he led the country in passing this year.
Yeah. Wow. And Ohio State got Will Howard. I don't know if they've made out on that or not.
So I mean, I think it just goes back to that. I think it's hindsight's always 20/20, right? Like,
100%.
We talk about like when we were playing in our fantasy football leagues and stuff like that, you have a guy sometimes make the right decision, sometimes you don't. And then you always look back, you're like, well, if I would have done this, well, of course. Yeah. But sometimes you make the opposite reasons, which what I did in my one to win. It's just, you know what, if you're arguing that hard about getting in and you're the 12th seed, maybe you should have done better.
Correct. Just win another game.
We're not arguing about if you should have been the 1 or 2 seed, or the top 4.
Exactly.
The top 4.
Well, Bama fan believes that if they get in, they're going to win the whole thing.
Right. They always do.
But if you struggled that much to just get in the playoff, you're probably gone first round anyway.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Notre Dame would have taken care of business there.
So we made picks last time, but do we want to? Are you still confident in your picks for the playoffs right now? I think we both.
I don't think a whole lot has changed.
No,
since the last time we talked.
Yeah, last time we talked. So we both took Oregon over Ohio State.
Yep.
We both took. Did you take Notre Dame? Did you say Notre Dame? I took Notre Dame.
I think I took Georgia still, even with the backup. Georgia's backup, Stockton. He's a 5-star. He's a guy like he's still going to be just fine. And I think it might open up Georgia's. I think he runs a little bit more than Beck does, so I think that might cause some issues. I don't know. I still like Georgia.
I still like Notre Dame in that game. I think we both took Penn State, but we want Boise State to play well in that game.
I want Genty to show up and be like, I should have won the Heisman, which he should have.
If he gets anywhere near 200, you should have been like, yeah.
And if he gets near 200, I think they have a good chance of winning.
Yeah.
I think
You're right.
You said 150 and less is what Penn State.
And then the other thing is, can Boise State's defense stop Penn State? Because
I don't know
Penn State's one of those methodical offenses, and they just before you know it, you're down.
They run the ball, they wear you out. Their defense makes a
turnover.
Yeah. That tight end's a monster.
But we both picked Penn State. I think we both picked Texas, but we both kind of secretly want Arizona State. Not secretly. I openly want Arizona State.
I picked Texas, but I don't like Texas. We know this, so go Sun Devils. But I do think Texas can. Just too many guys.
I was going to say secret. There's no secret. We want Arizona
Too many guys.
Yeah. I think they're going to be good games. I think they're all going to be good games. I think the Notre Dame Georgia game is going to be the lowest scoring game.
For sure.
Ohio State Oregon is going to be the highest scoring game.
For sure. Yeah.
But honestly, I think Arizona State Texas could be high scoring too.
Yeah, sometimes you might get surprised though. The second time around on a matchup like Oregon, Arizona,
that's true.
Ohio State, adjustments might be made. Like how much stuff did you show them the first time around?
Yeah.
Like sometimes those games will surprise you. We think it's high scoring, but sometimes those end up low scoring. But I think they're still high scoring games.
I think Ohio State and Oregon both score in the 30s, but watch it be like 24-20.
Right. It'll be like 7-3 at halftime.
Or it's the other opposite. It's like 21-17 at halftime, and then the final score is like 24-20.
I mean, I'm hoping for an Oregon blowout.
Yes.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
That would be nice. Then I want to hear, okay, apparently Ohio State didn't belong, right? You can't play with them.
Right. All right.
You watched any of the bowl games that have already happened at all over Christmas time?
I haven't really got into them.
I got a question for you then. Toledo-Pittsburgh went into 6 overtimes.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the 2-point conversion in overtime? Because I'm starting to get tired of it.
No.
Is there a better way?
Well, okay, I understand why they're doing it because they're trying to make it less. But it's less plays, but it's the same amount of time because it takes them so long to switch side of the field.
And they get a timeout each overtime.
Yeah, I think I let them play from the 25 maybe 4 times.
Okay.
And then maybe go to that. Because you get to a point, then that's a lot of extra plays.
Right.
But I feel like 2 is too few.
Too few.
Because really, boom, boom. Like the one game I remember, I was watching the Georgia game.
Yep.
They both scored really fast. So like the two overtimes are over like that.
Right.
And then the next 6 were like, oh my God, another play.
Here we go.
I mean, it leaves you on the edge of the seat the whole time.
It does. But I don't know. I don't know if I like just the 2-point conversion stuff.
I mean, it happened a few weeks ago, years ago maybe, where Penn State played Illinois and they lost in 8 overtimes. Right. I mean, we have a Penn State fan. We talked about it, a friend. I don't think he liked it.
No, exactly. I don't know. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. I mean, the NFL, do you like their way of doing it maybe? Does that help?
Here's the other thing maybe you could do is you run 2 from the 25 and then maybe you go to like high school and run from the 10.
Back it up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, so you still have 4 plays from the 10.
Because that you're so close on those 2-point conversions. The defense doesn't have a lot of chance.
They don't, really but then you run these weird plays all of a sudden, and it's like people try and get too cute instead of just doing what's worked half the game. But they're so afraid. They're afraid to run the ball because they're afraid that's going to get shut down.
And I just don't want a big game with the playoffs to come down to like a 2-point conversion and overtime type stuff. I don't know. I feel weird about it because I don't want to see the game decided because somebody couldn't get 2 yards on one play.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But on the other hand, win in regulation. I mean, you have that argument too.
Yeah. I mean,
you should have done more in regulation. It's one play doesn't determine the game. Right?
You know what? You're going to get arguments everywhere.
Either way.
Because I remember that. Was it Arkansas? Like Texas Tech and Arkansas went like 9 overtimes from the 25.
Right.
And that's a lot.
Well, that's what started I think the whole
That's a lot. So I don't know. Like high schools do it from the 10, and I know that's kind of short, but at the same time, maybe
the defense has a chance.
the defense has a chance, and then you can run a couple plays, and then it gets a little exciting. You still have the chance to kick a field goal,
Exactly.
and that changes things. When you do that.
I do think I didn't like the sudden death overtime that used to be like the first team that scores wins. I think giving the other team an opportunity, I do like that as well. I don't know. The overtimes, we're seeing a lot. I feel like we're seeing a lot more of those. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's going. It doesn't end in the first 2-point conversion. It's like 5 or 6 before we.
It does seem
finally get a
like
stop.
that. All right. The other thing that's kind of going on with college football that's kind of getting hidden because of the college football playoffs is Michael Vick got the head coaching job at Sacramento State.
Yes, he did.
Which, by the way, Schefter just laid the smackdown on Doug Gottlieb.
Really?
I'll talk about that in a second. And then Deshaun Jackson got Delaware State is getting that. Do you think these guys that it seems like these pros are getting it? It worked for Deion at Jackson State. Are they trying to replicate that with Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson?
Well, with NIL and stuff like that, I mean, getting big name guys, I think they believe that'll get the recruits.
Right.
But I don't really think you compare Deion, and nothing against Deshaun Jackson. He was a great NFL player as well, but he's not on Deion's level. Michael Vick, though, still has a name out there, but it might be a little tainted based off what happened with him.
But you know what?
But he did his time.
He did his time. What he did was horrible.
Did he learn?
With the dogs and all that stuff, and he did his time from everything that I've read, heard. He's done everything he needed to do. He paid his price.
Correct.
And I'm all about second chances, especially if you do what you're supposed to do. So he did it. So do I like what he did and all that stuff? Absolutely not. But if he's really changed and done all that stuff, then good for him.
Yeah.
I think with recruiting though, it's the same thing with Deion. Deion got Travis Hunter to come to Jackson State because he was Deion.
Because it's Deion.
They're going to get Vic and Deshaun Jackson are going to get people there because they're ex-NFL players. I mean, you saw it where you teach at. There's an ex-NFL player as a high school football coach, and all of a sudden they got good this year, and people are wanting to come to the high school. It's a little different at the NIL and all that stuff, but the kids want to play for them.
Right, so that you see a big name, and you're like, oh, I remember watching that guy play when I grew up or whatever, and you're going to go play for that guy. So that brings me to Bill Belichick over there in Carolina. Like, he's a big name, but if you're a big-time recruit, you want to go play for 73-year-old Bill Belichick or whatever, or you want to go to Deshaun Jackson, you want to go to Deion. Like that, I don't know. That's why I think that Bill Belichick hire is kind of interesting. But I like Michael Vick getting another chance. We'll see how he does. Deshaun Jackson, I think there's no doubt these guys know football, and they're going to bring in recruits, and they probably know people. I mean, Deion brings in celebrities on the sideline for crying out loud, So if you're a young football player, you see these rappers or whoever that Deion brings in, heck yeah, I'm going to want to go hang out with them.
In the same respect, I coach baseball, and where I'm at, I forget what his name is all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, I'm just
the quarterback.
No, he played for the Major League Baseball.
No,
I'm just Dan Vogelbach.
Yeah.
Vogelbach. I know what I'm doing as a coach. The head coach knows what he's doing as a coach, but when Vogelbach comes and is talking to the kids, they perk up a little bit. It's a Major League Baseball player that knows your name, that is coaching you up. Like, it's just different. Like, you can say what they want. Do they know more than me? I mean, obviously they have more experience than I do. Do they know more than me? Maybe, maybe not.
You don't know.
He knows a lot. I'm not trying to take anything away.
No, but just because you play doesn't mean you're a great coach.
Right. But he does a good job with the kids. Yeah. He does a great job with the kids. But he's sitting there and the kids, they gravitate to him a little bit because, hey, he's a Major League player. I mean, the one time he's like, hey, I didn't do a lot of flips, but this is what Joey Votto taught me. And I'm like, okay, I don't have Joey Votto to name drop. Right. You can just, Deion could be like, hey, when I was playing for the Cowboys against the 49ers in the playoffs, like, this is what I did. Right. You're just like, I can't.
Here's what Jimmy Johnson
told you. I can't compete with that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think a little bit of that. Now, will they be great coaches? We'll see. Some of these guys are very good coaches. We talked about this. I've been around some people that have been very good baseball players, very good football players, and they're not great coaches. Great people, just not great coaches.
They just can't. It takes somebody to take that knowledge and being able to distribute it to other people, and not everybody can do that. I'm not saying you and I can do that, but I think we can. Yeah. But sometimes people just can't make that connection.
I'll give credit. Like, I don't like what Deion is all about some of the times, but he can coach a team.
And he can market.
I mean, he can coach. And the thing is, I'm going to guess it went pretty easy for him.
Correct.
I mean, he worked hard. But he was stupid talented. Yeah. And sometimes players like that, it just comes so naturally to them that they don't know how to coach people that aren't as talented as they are.
Right. And
Deion's doing it, which I'm saying there's some
but
people.
Can you
that do it.
imagine you're 17, 18 years old and Deion walks into your living room?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I would have been like, yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's not just Deion. Michael Vick walks in there. I mean, all these guys, big name guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Belichick, though, like, is that on the same level or is that completely different?
But what he's done in the NFL, I think it's a little different because it's not a player.
He never played like that.
No, but I mean, you walk in and he walks in and be like, I have 7 Super Bowl rings.
I coached Tom Brady.
I coached Tom Brady, who may be the best ever.
Right. You might listen to him?
Yeah, I might listen to him. I mean, like as a Michigan fan, come in and if I didn't play football in high school, but if I'd played football in high school and I was getting recruited and Desmond Howard walks in this plane, I'd been like,
you're done.
Yes.
Yep, sign me up.
Where are we going
Done.
right now?
Done.
Yeah, 100%. Charles Woodson walked in, I'd be like,
done.
Whatever you want, buddy. Whatever you want.
You think Belichick can go back to his old players and be like, "Hey, Gronk, come help me recruit"? Or,
Yeah, maybe.
Tom.
I mean, if Brian Bosworth, I know you like him.
Boz.
If he walked in here,
I'm done. Sign me up.
Where are you going?
It doesn't matter where Boz is at. I'm going there.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of teams that could have done that. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go to Ohio. I want to go to Ohio State, but like, if somebody walked in, I don't know.
From Ohio State?
Well, not Ohio State. I'm just trying to think of a different place. I mean, I grew up kind of watching Colorado a little bit because Eric Bieniemy was a running back there. And I thought he had a cool name. And all. If that guy would have walked in when I was like in high school, I'd have been like, cool. I'm going to Colorado.
Yeah. Things have changed with recruiting, with
Yes.
NIL and stuff like that, because the big name guys, they're going to get players. Players
all right,
go play for
so
them.
I'm going to go back to this real quick. So Doug Gottlieb is a little bit outspoken. He's been a radio guy. He's been a thing. He is now the head basketball coach at Green Bay.
Okay.
Not the Packers. Like I'm talking about the
Basketball
Green Bay. I think
college.
they're the Phoenix or something like that.
I think they made the tournament last year, didn't they?
Yeah. So Adam Schefter tweets out Sacramento State is in discussions to hire for Michael Vick. Supposedly their building has over $50 million in NIL. Gottlieb replied, "Jesus, Shefty, edit what agents tell you. 0.0 chance Sacramento State has $50 million in NIL deal." That was Gottlieb said back to Schefter. Schefter smacks back.
He's saying he's lying or he made an error.
He said the Sac-12 schools leading Sac-12 leading the school's NIL efforts already announced it has reached its initial goal of raising $50 million in NIL funds. But then he goes, and Jesus, Doug, a 7-game losing streak and last place in the Horizon League, less time in social media and more time in the gym.
Oh my God.
That's Adam Schefter going after Doug Gottlieb, who's coaching basketball.
Wow.
And he posted the standings.
He's not wrong.
He posted a picture of the standings.
Where they're not.
And Green Bay was 0-3 and 2-10 overall.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and then Doug Gottlieb, I know we talk football, but this is funny. Then Doug Gottlieb goes, "I'm tired of playing these nobody you teams because it doesn't help us right now." That was playing Michigan Tech, who's like a
2 wins.
And Michigan Tech beat them.
You have 2 wins, Doug.
Michigan Tech beat them.
Wow.
The team he called nobody you, Michigan Tech beat them. Maybe Doug Gottlieb needs to get off of this and start coaching his team.
Start focusing on recruiting and maybe get some NIL money out there. Doug, listen, before you make a comment like that, you better make sure that what you're saying is you're calling somebody out for making a mistake. You better make sure you are correct. Or you better be undefeated or close to it. So
listen. I'm not, whether you like Adam Schefter or not, I don't have a problem with him.
He always has
that
good
guy
stuff.
is about the most plugged in person in football right now.
He always has info.
Dude, have you ever seen
ahead of time?
They've shown like scenes like when he's at the table talking to people, and he's got like 4 phones, and he's checking all of them. That dude, if somebody's going to talk football, they're talking to Adam Schefter.
Didn't he leak that Brady was retiring before anybody else? And then Brady came out and was like, "Well, no, I'm not really retired."
Yeah, that was a maybe mistake he made.
Right, but still, he's plugged in.
Oh, like man. That's a dude I'm not questioning. If it's breaking news and it's from the real Adam Schefter, because there's a fake Adam Schefter Twitter out there. If it's a real one, you're like, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
I
really believe when he posted about Brady that was true, and then Brady hated the way it came out, and then he said, "Well, not so fast."
Right, but you know that probably Brady was going to do that.
Yeah,
Schefter probably had the information on it, but no, Doug, you got cooked on that one, Doug. Sorry about it.
That's one of the best, like just
no response from Doug after that, probably.
I don't know what you say after that. Like, what do you say? Like, that's just...
I would have said something like, maybe you should get some money too, get some better recruits or something. I don't know. Maybe don't attack the kids, but
yeah. So
that's funny.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what those guys do. Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick at those. I hope they do well. Because I mean they're taking Delaware State has not been good. Sacramento State I think's been okay.
Well, you see what Deion was able to do at Jacksonville State, right?
Jackson State,
build a program there a little bit, and then move on to Division I FBS schools.
And like you can hate him, like him, like Deion's done a good job.
Yes, I mean I don't like how flashy he is. I didn't really like him as a player a whole lot either.
Right.
If he was on the Raiders, I might have liked him.
But you 100%
would have liked him. But you cannot take away his talent and can't take away what he's done.
No,
his success. You can't take away that. You might not like his flashiness and all that stuff, but it works for him.
It does. He's doing something right. So
he's a great marketer.
He's a great marketer.
He might be the reason Travis Hunter won the Heisman. I mean, he really.
Oh, it's 100%. I mean, Lil Wayne was there.
Correct. Right. I mean, jeez.
I mean, if you would have been, we were never, ever, ever. Well, first of all, I didn't play high school football.
Right. Me either.
But what are we talking about? Football? I mean, never mind. I'm just kidding. If I would have ever been that good to make it to the Heisman, I don't think Lil Wayne would have been there with me.
I don't think so. Or even Snoop or anybody, Tupac or anybody.
Eminem,
that's still alive. Right.
Any of the rappers. It would have been awesome if they would have been there.
but that's what he does.
Yeah,
Guys are like, oh man, I'm going to go to play for
100%.
For
I mean, he's gotten guys to switch over there. So, all right. Listen, we're going to have a whole bunch more to talk about next time we talk because with college football, getting into the semifinals, stuff like that. But let's shift the gears. We haven't talked NFL a ton, but it's getting towards the end of the season. Before we talk about like maybe who our playoff favorites are, I mean, there's still a couple, a little bit left to go in the season. But have you ever seen a team get broken like the Chicago Bears did because of one play?
It's bad. It is. We talked about it last time a little bit about how that one Hail Mary.
I mean, they were 4-2 coming off a bye week playing the Commanders.
Knock down that Hail Mary. You're 5-2.
Yep.
And you don't go on a 10-game losing streak or whatever it is now. I don't even know.
Well, they just lost
to the Seahawks.
6-3 in what was a stirring game.
Right.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
At least your Bears defense got me 15 points in fantasy.
There you go. Would you play me for the championship? Yep, the two ball guys.
Mahomes
got me 37 in the Christmas Day game. That was great.
That hurts.
But this is so they were on a 3-game winning streak. They beat the Rams, Panthers, and Jacksonville. Now I understand the Panthers and the Jaguars are not good, but they're 4-2 going into bye, playing their next 3 games were Washington, Arizona, and New England. Okay, 3 games. Washington was better than we thought, but 3 games we thought they could win. They lose by a Hail Mary against Washington. Then they get embarrassed by the Cardinals and the Patriots, which just seemed like they were still hungover from the Commanders game. And then they lose by 1 to Green Bay, overtime to Minnesota, the stupid errors against Detroit, and then they just have no-showed 3 straight games.
Was the Minnesota game one they left the timeout on the clock?
No, that was Detroit.
And that's when they got fired.
Yes.
The coach got fired, yeah.
Yes. And they basically no-showed since then. They lost by 25 to San Francisco, 18 in Minnesota, Detroit by 17, and then they scored 3 points against the Seahawks, who has a decent defense, but not that good. They have lost 10 games in a row.
That is that's up there.
If they win that game against the Commanders, I think they might
500 right now. If they win that
500
game?
And maybe
correct
battling for a playoff spot.
Yes, I agree.
Because I don't think they lay in eggs against. But even then they had 3 games. They had a chance to win against 3 of the best teams in the NFC, and they just.
It's like it's just builded up. It builds and builds and builds, and they just can't get out of the funk right now for whatever reason. They got 1 more game left, right? Like maybe
Green Bay at Green Bay.
Right. Good luck on that one. Dang.
11 straight losses.
I mean, maybe Green Bay doesn't play their.
I think Green Bay is going to need to play in that game.
Right. They're going to need that win.
I've just never seen one play spiral a team so badly. I'm not saying and there's been a lot of things that have been wrong with the Bears that have shown up, but not this much. They were
playing well,
right?
At 4-2, and then that Hail Mary botch job. Blame whoever you want on that. Doesn't matter. Just seem to start this downward spiral. They can't get out of it.
No, and now at this point, you just want to lose.
Well, you might. Well, yeah, you're with me.
But I have seen it. Somebody posted recently. This is before Week 17 started. The bottom 10 teams had the lowest total wins ever.
Really?
It was at 36 for the bottom 10 teams.
Really?
That is so bad. And then included the 6-win team.
That's crazy. That the bottom 10 teams are worse than they've ever been in the National Football League.
I mean, going into Week 17, that's when I saw the stat. Yep. Going into Week 17, you had Let's see if I can find it.
I mean, the Chiefs
I mean,
might be
this
the best.
this is what you had.
the
You
worst
had
14
going
and
into,
team.
like I said, going into Week 17, you had the Jets with 4 wins, the Patriots with 3 wins, the Browns with 3 wins, the Jags and Titans with 3 wins, the Raiders with 3 wins, the Giants with 3 wins, the Bears and Panthers had 4 wins, and there was a team. Oh, and the Giants had 2 wins, and there was a team in there that I think had 6 losses.
I mean,
or 6 wins.
we might be looking
But
at
even the 49ers only had 6 wins.
the worst one-loss team ever. Might be the Kansas City Chiefs this year.
The Chiefs still haven't scored over 30 points.
They've scored 30 a couple times. That's it.
No, they haven't.
I thought they scored 30.
Oh, had they had just hadn't been over 30?
I don't think they've been over 30.
And they scored 29 in. Oh, they have scored 30. Okay, I see it. 30.
I think they've scored 30 twice.
You're right. They scored 30 against Carolina
3 times.
and they scored 30 against Tampa.
No, that's it.
Oh, and 30. No, that's a loss.
No,
they scored 21 against
that's
Buffalo.
it. They've scored 30 points twice. No more.
Teams that haven't scored over. There's 4 teams in the league this year that haven't scored over 30 points. The Chiefs are 14-1. The other 3 have 3 wins total.
Correct.
Or not total. Like the most wins is it was like the Patriots and the Panthers and somebody else.
Yeah, the Chiefs have 1 loss on the year, and their 30 points is their max, is their cap. Does that mean their defense is really good? Is that what we're saying?
I mean, their defense has given up. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They gave
6,
up 30 to the
8,
Bills, and
9.
that was it.
10 of their games, 10 of their 15 games, 16
15,
games, 10 of their
16.
16 games, they've given up less than 20 points.
Right. And the one game they gave up 30, they lost
They
that game
lost.
to the Bills.
They've given up 20, 25,
15-1.
20, 24, 30, 27. They gave up 27 to the Panthers.
They're
The
15,
Panthers have scored the second most points against them.
worst 15-1 team of all time, right here. Like, I don't understand.
But they win
Are you going to go against them in the playoffs at all?
if they're playing the Bills.
That's it.
Maybe the Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens only have 5 losses, which isn't that bad. But man, which Ravens team shows up? Is it at home? If Patrick Mahomes is at home in the playoffs, I don't think they lose.
I think if they're at home against the Ravens, they win. If they're going to be.
They're going to be at home because
they
they're the high
clinched.
seed
I think the Bills still beat them
in Kansas City. I mean, I hope
because
so.
listen, the Bills' defense has been a little shaky, right? But the Patriots' offense hasn't. I mean, the
Yeah.
Chiefs' offense. Why did I say the Patriots?
I know.
The Chiefs' offense hasn't been great. So like the thing that's been, but the Bills' offense has been great.
Correct. Josh
They've
Allen's been
great.
ridiculous.
I mean,
He's
okay, that
MVP
leads me
stuff.
to another story. Or thing, who would be your MVP right now? Would it be Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? Now, Saquon Barkley's doing really good, but you know what?
Correct.
I don't think he has a shot to win it.
It's going to be hard to go against Josh Allen with what he has done this year. I like Lamar Jackson. I like the Ravens. I think they're going to make a big run. But Saquon Barkley has probably the best highlight of the year when he reverse jumped over that guy. But you're right. That's Josh Allen. It has to be, right?
I mean, they've
ridiculous.
Josh Allen really has had one bad game, and that was last week against the Patriots. Or no, he had a bad game against the Ravens, but the Ravens kind of,
Which Ravens team shows up? That's going
But
to be
that's the
what
thing.
it's
The
about,
Ravens
you know?
look really good against.
The
The problem
Texans.
is if the Ravens and the Bills have to play, it's going to be in Baltimore probably because I'm sorry.
It'll
I
be
take
in
that back.
Buffalo,
The
won't it?
Bills are going to win their division. I was thinking they're in the same division as the team. So that's the question. Like who would be your favorite? And Kansas City is going to play all their games at home.
Yeah.
Who would be your favorite in the AFC. I'm sorry, AFC.
I don't like the Chiefs at all. I don't want to pick them, but I guess Andy Reid and the Chiefs just seem to get it done. Especially they're at home. Patrick Mahomes just doesn't lose at home.
What was that going to be?
Mahomes?
I mean,
Lose Mahomes? No.
right now it looks like if everything stays the same and teams win like they're supposed to win, the Ravens would go to the Chiefs in the divisional
In the
playoff.
divisional round.
Listen, the Chiefs get the home field advantage, and they would probably have to go through the Ravens and Bills. Probably.
Tough road. Don't get me wrong. It's a tough road, but you're at home. You're Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I don't want to see the Chiefs up there at all, but I don't know.
Here's the kicker. The Bills actually could – oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. The Ravens would go to the Bills. I made a mistake. The Ravens would go to the Bills. Okay. I was going to say that would be rough. No, the Ravens would go to the Bills because
Ravens have the hardest road.
the way it looks like the Ravens would because they have to play a first-round game, which is probably going to be against the Chargers, the Broncos, most likely.
They'll win that one. They'll probably
They
win
should,
that one.
and then they'd have to go to the Bills. The Chiefs, actually, I'm sorry, they, as it looks ish, they're like a Texans or one of those other teams, like the Steelers, Chargers, Broncos.
Steelers might be able to surprise somebody. No,
Steelers have played well against the Ravens. They have slipped off recently.
Yeah,
They didn't look great against the Bills. Russell Wilson's looking like Russell Wilson's of the Broncos.
Back to
because at the beginning of the year he looked like Seahawks.
Oh, forget about it. Yeah,
I still like the Bills. I want the Bills to make it.
I hope.
And it's funny because when I was growing up, I hated the Bills.
Oh,
I
did too.
Because they were winning all the time.
Thurman Thomas,
And
Jim
now-
Kelly, Andre
Now
Rison.
their uniforms look better,
Andre-
and I don't mind Josh Allen. Like
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
little, but he seems like a really good dude, and he played, and he went from looking god awful his first couple of years to being awesome.
MVP.
Like so much so that it's like, did we make a mistake drafting Josh Allen?
Right.
And now he looks amazing.
He's MVP right now. He's probably MVP.
And playoff Lamar Jackson doesn't always show up.
Playoff Lamar Jackson just makes the worst possible decision at the worst possible moment, throwing it into triple coverage in the end zone for some reason.
Mhm.
Like, I like the Ravens. I think they can make a run, but he has yet to win a game. He usually loses it for them.
I mean, he's gotten to the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
But last year, he had a chance to beat
Throw
the
it into
Chiefs.
triple coverage
just throws it.
in the end zone.
All his little unbelievableness that he does to avoid getting hit, all that stuff
Extending plays.
works, but then it tightens up in the playoffs, and those mistakes get multiplied because then you get a team that now they start to grind out the clock a little bit more too because it's the playoffs and all that stuff. And he's flashy and he can do it, and he's very talented.
And the Ravens defense is always good.
Yeah.
Like the Ravens defense is just fine. But he has to show up. And maybe is he trying too hard? He's trying to do too much. I mean, that offense does rely on him quite a bit.
Yeah. But with 1 week left to go in the regular season, I still think I'm going Bills.
Okay.
That's my favorite. I'm going Bills.
I don't want the Chiefs, but I can't go against Mahomes and Reed. They're too much.
We don't have the order completely situated, but yeah.
That's
like-
the AFC.
That's the AFC.
AFC.
NFC is it's loaded. It is absolutely loaded. Like, yes, like the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens all look really good in the AFC. I get
Other
it.
than that,
But other than that, I mean, you look at the NFC right now, the Lions, Eagles, Vikings, Packers, and Commanders all have because Jaden Daniels has turned it on at different times, and he can beat anybody in there.
they all have double-digit wins.
The Lions have been hurt so much on defense, so much on
Feel
defense,
bad
but
for
their offense is unreal.
Yes.
Even without David Montgomery, who now, he had a second opinion and is trying to get back for the playoffs
Yep.
without having surgery. Jamar Gibbs is so good, and Jared Goff is playing out of his mind.
I mean, you have 5
They're
teams.
so good.
You have 5 teams in the NFC that I could see winning the NFC.
Yeah.
And like you said, 2 or 3 maybe in the AFC. But there's 5 teams in that NFC. Eagles are playing, but how badly is Jalen Hurts hurt? We'll
Right, had that
see.
concussion, yep.
Like you said, Washington, Daniels is losing his mind out there. Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay all can make a run at this thing.
Yeah, and I mean, and then the other 2 teams that are kind of in there right now are the Rams and Falcons. Obviously, the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers are right
have a
there.
shot, too.
Seattle's right there. But again, those are
But do the Seahawks scare you if they slip it?
no,
Do the Falcons really scare you with Michael Penix Jr.?
not really.
Okay. Do the Rams really scare you?
No.
Bucks for a half scare me.
Correct. what Baker Mayfield shows
And we've seen both in the same game.
right. We've seen Baker that should be MVP, and then we've seen Baker who shouldn't be on a football
Who
team.
played with the Browns.
Yeah, exactly. He's bipolar.
He's
for sure.
looked amazing, and when he gets going with Mike Evans, it is great.
They're
The thing
tough.
is, if you're a defense, you just shut down Mike Evans.
Yeah, because they don't have
Godwin,
he's
that
done.
was awful injury earlier
so,
this year.
and I don't think they're Otten. I think their tight end's hurt too. So,
And Bucky Irving's played well, but Bucky Irving.
but you're right.
I mean, I hope that's a cool name. I hope he's.
I mean, maybe we'll see a cool upset in the NFL, but this year in the NFC, I think you're looking at 5 teams to make a run, 3 in the AFC possible. Who do you like in the NFC then?
Lions.
Even with their defenses beat up as they are, that defense is in bad shape. Hutchinson's they got 6 starters out.
They are, but truthfully,
Who's going to outscore them?
who's going to outscore?
Who's
them?
gonna
That's the
outscore
thing. And if the Lions can get ahead, then it makes a bad defense look better. We
Correct.
talked about this before.
Correct.
The Colts had very good players back when Peyton was there, like Dwight Freeney and there was a linebacker, whatever, and they had a couple of quarterbacks. But nobody confused the Colts defense for this great defense.
No.
But when you're up by 14, 21 points, the other team knew they had to score every time. You could pin your ears back and just go after the quarterback, and they did. Yeah. I mean, teams were onside kicking it early against the Colts because they just we can't stop them anyways.
Right.
And it makes your defense very, very good.
True.
And when your offense is scoring that many points, now the Bills scored with them. But how many teams, if the Bills played them again, could the Bills score with them every single time?
Probably.
You have to. They could.
Yep.
But you have to. It's like a pitcher in baseball. When your offense is bad and you have to shut out the teams every single time.
Can't make a mistake.
It's tough. It's the opposite here. You have to score every time because the Lions could score every time they have the ball.
Right.
They're the one team that I think when the Lions have the ball, it's almost a disappointment when they don't. Well, it's a disappointment when any team doesn't score, but it's
field goal.
It's
we only got a field goal this time.
Which, by the way, their field goal kicker is really good.
Pretty good too. I don't think Green Bay has the offense. Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, maybe.
But Sam Darnold in the playoffs.
He's still Sam Darnold, and he's had a great season.
He's had a great season.
Good for you.
He's going to get paid.
But his playoff is going to determine. Can he? I don't trust
do it in the playoffs.
The Commanders.
Look, Jordan Love did it in the playoffs one time against the Cowboys last year. He just destroyed them, but then the 49ers kind of handled it.
So I think I like the Packers just because I think Jordan Love's
going Packers.
Well, Hurts is hurt.
You had Packers at the beginning of the year.
Hurts is hurt.
Yeah.
Like you said, playoff experience with Sam Darnold and playoff experience with Daniels at Washington is not there, and that defense for Detroit is struggling. Now, Detroit will have home field advantage. That'll help. So it's not like
well, they could.
They won't have if they have to go to Green Bay. I don't think they will.
That's tough. I don't think they're going to have to go to Green Bay.
No,
it's
but
tough.
Philly,
the Lions and the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. They play this last week. So our NFC picks are still alive. You picked the Packers. You were higher on the Packers than I was.
I thought, but I picked the Jets.
You picked the Packers to make the Super Bowl. I picked the Lions. Now, if we want to go to our AFC picks,
oh my gosh,
you picked the Jets, who, by the way, going in,
they're not dead last.
They're not dead last, and I picked the Bengals.
Okay, they're, again, not dead last. Your Bengals are doing better than the Jets, though.
That's
not saying a lot.
We're going to delete our AFC picks and act like that never happened before.
Correct.
I'm going to stick with my NFC pick. I should have just gone back to what I said last year when I said the Bills and the Lions, and it almost happened. Well, no, the Bills got beat in the division round, but the Lions were right there.
So you're gonna.
That's I'm sticking. I'm going Bills and Lions going into the last week.
Well, the Packers, and as much as I hate the Chiefs, I can't go against them. They're going to be there again.
Packers, Chiefs. You're going for an old school Super Bowl.
That's 1960.
Was it the first Super Bowl?
Yeah, first one for sure. First two, maybe.
I don't know. Let's see if I have it here real quick.
No,
the first ever Super Bowl was Packers Chiefs. Yeah,
Packers Chiefs.
Second one was Packers Raiders. How'd you not know that?
Oh, that's right. Darryl LaMonaco was the quarterback. And then the Jets won it in the third one, Super Bowl III.
They did. That was against the Colts when Joe Namath.
Yep.
And then the Chiefs
in '69 with Len Dawson and Hank Stram as the coach.
Dude, you're good with this.
I know the older Super Bowls. When we get to 2000, I start fading away. But
the 2000s, you start fading away. So you go. So Packers won the first two.
Packers, Jets, Colts.
Nope.
Or no, Chiefs, Colts.
Yep.
71-72 Dolphins.
They were in the Super Bowl.
They were in the Super Bowl in 71.
They were
well. They won in 72. That one.
Well, It's weird because they have Januaries. Okay. So the Super Bowl, the 71 season, they were in the Super Bowl, but they didn't win it.
Who'd they lose to? It wasn't the Colts again.
No.
The Dolphins. Who's 71?
Come on.
So 70 was the Colts.
70 was the Colts.
69, 77. Steelers.
Nope.
Cowboys.
Yes.
Yeah,
you
Cowboys.
keep going with AFC teams. All right, now the next
Cowboys and 72 Dolphins.
Yep. That was.
Oh, was it 73 Steelers?
No, 73 was also Dolphins.
Oh, that's right. I knew they won back to back.
Yep.
74 Steelers.
Yep.
75 Steelers.
Yep.
76 Raiders.
Yep.
77 Cowboys.
Yep.
78, 79 Steelers.
Yep.
80 Raiders.
Yep.
81 Redskins. No, 82 Redskins.
Yep.
81 Niners.
Yep.
83 Raiders.
Yep. This is pretty good.
84 Niners.
Yep.
85 Bears.
Yep.
86 Giants. 87 Redskins, 88 Niners, 89 Niners, 90 Giants, 91 Cowboys,
Nope,
or
you're
Niners.
No.
Oh, Redskins.
Yep.
91, 92 Cowboys, 93 Cowboys, 94 Niners,
Yep.
95 Niners,
Nope.
95 Cowboys,
Yep.
96 Packers,
Yep.
97 and 98 Broncos,
Yep.
99 Rams,
Yep.
2000 Ravens.
Yeah.
And
Woo.
then I get
Woo.
then it's like
Now you dude,
then it's
you,
the Patriots.
You could just
basically.
2001 was Patriots, and then they got broken up. In 2002
was Buccaneers.
You should know that.
Beat
And
my
then-
Raiders. Now I'm
then 3, 4 were
Patriots.
Yep. 5 was somebody else.
Who've been 5 in there? Was that the Ravens?
No, not yet. They beat the Seahawks.
Patriots again?
No,
Who beat the Seahawks?
Steelers.
Oh, Steelers. Actually, I forget about that one.
2006, the Bears made it back again and lost to the.
Colts.
Yep,
7 Patriots again. I know the
they were
Patriots
in
have
it,
been
but
there.
this is one of the
This is the one that lost. us.
helmet catch.
Oh yes, the
The
Giants.
Giants. The Steelers broke it up against the Cardinals, and which was a great.
That was a
Super Bowl.
great Super Bowl.
Dude, I've never seen
James
I've
Harrison
never
on
seen
that
a
one.
player so happy in a Super Bowl as Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh
was.
my gosh,
That dude was like a kid in a candy jar. Like bottled that excitement up,
I wish I could have that.
and that's what everybody should have.
That's what it's about.
Like Larry Fitzgerald, he was never on. I wish he was on my favorite team.
Yeah.
I loved watching him play.
Just
that dude just
good player.
that dude had less drops. Like he had more touchdowns in his career than drops, I
Right.
think, which is just ridiculous.
He doesn't get talked about enough.
He was amazing.
Oh,
He was
man.
just steady, didn't talk, just did the
Didn't
things the
draw
right way,
attention to
played
himself.
hard.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, he was so much fun. Yeah, that was a little stretch there where the Patriots didn't win because the Patriots won in 2004,
4.
and then they didn't win again until 2014. They went 10 years, but then
Really?
they won 3 and 5 years.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like they won a bunch in a row, then went 10 years without winning one.
and then won a bunch of.
But they went to the Super Bowl.
We had a 10-year break from them.
We
Thank
did.
goodness. Yeah, but they went a couple times.
They
Just
did. They
the once
went
against the
1,
Giants.
2,
See, they were always there.
2 times. They went 2 times.
So
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so they were there twice in those 10 years.
That's why.
Yeah.
But that's when Peyton went to the Broncos and made it a couple times.
That's right. He won one, lost one with the Broncos, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost to the Seahawks and they made it back and they beat the Panthers
Yeah.
because
Cam Newton fumble.
didn't
Then
go
looked
after
at it.
Yeah, didn't go after it. We've had some good Super Bowls lately. You know, the last 3 have been decided by 3 points. The Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35. And the Chiefs beat the 49ers in overtime 25-22. In a game that you correctly picked the final score on accident.
On accident. I was just taking 2 numbers that would add up to 47, and that's all it worked out.
Absolutely amazing.
If I could have bet $100 on that. I don't
Oh
know.
my! If you would have bet $100 on that, you would have won thousands. Thousands. To make the exact score,
That'd be
and it'd be 25-22,
which is a weird score anyway.
You know those numbers are not. It's not normal. I'm sure there's some place you could have picked the exact score, and if you would have put money on 25-22,
I'm just glad it's recorded on one of our podcasts.
It is.
'cause
It's amazing.
Nobody would believe.
it's amazing.
Nobody would believe.
When you said it, I'm like, and I heckled you.
And then I realized I said a ridiculous score, and I was like,
You're
"You're right. That was
but then you doubled down. You're like, no, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it. 25-22.
because I was joking at that point.
And then they went to overtime,
And I
and
was like, "Oh my
I think
gosh.
the Niners kicked the field goal to make it 22-19, and then they went
Crazy.
down and scored a touchdown. They don't kick extra points, so it's 25-22. It's like that would have been amazing. You would have been like, oh my god, like
I can't remember I don't even know what to pick or how much that would have paid off, but it would have definitely been ridiculous.
well, first of all, to pick an
20
exact score,
25 is weird anyway.
to pick an exact score, like if they have, I don't even know, I'd have to look it up, but you would think the odds would be like plus 400
A lot,
or something,
a
like
lot.
every number, because to
Right.
pick the exact score, and for it to be 25-22 would
which
be
is a
even
weird
worse.
score anyway.
Unless they just made them all, but there's no way they make them all like that at the
No.
same amount. No, you.
I'm glad it's recorded.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm glad that's recorded. One day I'll use that
One day.
in an argument.
Yeah, in an argument.
I picked
Well,
the
this one
exact
time,
score.
I picked the exact
No,
score.
you didn't. No,
Yes,
you
I
did, Grandpa.
25-20.
Yeah.
Not the 38-35 score, the 23-20. No, the 25-22 score.
Weirdest score possible.
I don't know if there's ever. Hold on, let's see here. In the history of the Super Bowls,
Has there ever been?
okay, the Steelers scored 25 in a loss, and
It's just a weird number.
in the history of Super Bowls, until last year, nobody had ever scored exactly 22 points. Not once. And 25 only happened once.
Right. And the odds that they both happen in the same game, and I just accidentally picked it. I'm like, what adds up to 47? Because I think that was the line. That was the point spread.
24-23 would have made more sense.
Dang it! Now, you're right.
27-20.
Right. Anything but 25-22, and then it happens.
And you're like 25-22.
And you're like, what? That's ridiculous. Oh, you're right. But I'm sticking with it.
I'm sticking with it. 25-22.
And then you texted me, Jesus, it happened.
You should have had money.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The playoffs, I think, are going to be a lot of fun. The college playoffs have been, well, they haven't been.
I mean, you know.
But anyways, next time we come back, it'll be after the new year. And we'll have the semifinals to talk about and the playoffs to talk about, NFL playoffs to talk about. And we'll have that queued in, and then maybe we will revise your picks. I probably won't. I'm probably going to stick Lions and Bills. You're going Chiefs and Packers.
I think so.
Super Bowl one rematch.
Super Bowl one rematch, right?
Hey, why not?
Right, exactly.
What Super Bowl are we on anyways this year?
It's like 55, is it?
Oh,
I don't know the number. I don't know the numerals.
LVII, so it's going to be LX.
Is it 57?
What's 10? It's 10X? 59 then. It's going to be 59, I think. Yeah, X is 10. So it'll be 59. Super Bowl 59.
59, huh?
And I think it's in New Orleans. You know who's not going to be in the Super Bowl?
The Saints.
That is true, but I was going to go with the Raiders and Bears.
No, they're not going to be there either.
They're not going to be there.
I thought you were going with because it's played in Louisiana.
Well, yeah, no, it's not going to. Yeah.
The last Super Bowl that was played in the Louisiana, I think that's when the lights went out, wasn't it? Was that the Ravens-Niners?
Oops. Ravens-Niners?
Which that was weird too.
There was 2 in a row in Tampa?
2 in a row?
Oh, what did I do? Yeah. I did something wrong.
I think it was the lights went out against the Ravens-Niners, and we all know how that ended. Niners were winning that game.
Yeah, they were.
And then the lights went out, and the lights went out on the Niners.
Somehow I switched places. Okay. Yeah. And then coming up, it's this year's in New Orleans, next year's in Santa Clara, California. And because we want to stay in California, the next one's in Inglewood, California.
Of course.
And then Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, maybe our Raiders and Bears will get there one of these years.
Maybe they'll be in the Atlanta, Georgia one, and then we will act like we want to go to it and not be able to afford to go to it.
Correct. We'll go sit in the parking lot.
We can sit in the parking lot, yeah.
And watch it on our phone.
Yeah, do a podcast. Raiders, Bears, we'll do podcasts outside the Super Bowl.
Correct. If the Raiders, Bears go to the Super Bowl, we'll go.
We'll go wherever city it's at.
And do a podcast in the parking lot.
If somebody wants to, if that ever happens. I don't even know why we're joking about that.
A couple ways away. A couple players away from each team.
A couple players. You need a quarterback. We need an offensive line.
Oh, man. We both. Our teams need help.
A lot of help. All right. And then we'll also talk about who won our fantasy football championship.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And talk about that.
Should be a good one.
All right. We will get all that stuff. We got a whole bunch more football to talk about next time we're there. Happy New Year to everybody. Until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.